Two old rivals hook up this weekend with postseason dreams still alive. For Mike Socha's Angels, this is a must-win series to keep their wild card hopes in view. Jeff Bannister's Rangers have now set their sights on the AL West League, and a series sweep would put added pressure on the Houston Astros. Meaningful baseball in September is exciting, and you will see it all right here on Fox Sports Southwest. Texas Rangers baseball is presented by AT&T UVerse TV. Beautiful Southern California, where the breezes are light, the temperature is mild, and your Rangers are hot. This evening, the Rangers continue this West Coast odyssey. It's the first of three from Anaheim as they take on the Los Angeles Angels. And welcome in, everyone, along with Tom Green, Steve Busby. Delighted you can spend part of your Friday evening with us. Ranger baseball is a must-see TV of late. They have been playing some good baseball. And tonight, interesting contrast. You have Adrian Beltre swinging the bat well for the Rangers. Garrett Richards has been a thorn in the Rangers' side as the Angels pitcher.
Yeah, he's been an extremely tough matchup for the Rangers, to say the least. And I imagine they'll see that 95, 96 mile an hour sinking, cutting fastball that he features. He's been terrific. Hasn't walked anybody in 2 out of his last 3 starts. Against the Rangers, though, in his last 6 starts, he's undefeated with an ERA under 2. From the Rangers' offensive standpoint, they're going to count on Adrian Beltre. He's hit .375 in his last 11 games, and since 2011, he's been a .302 hitter against the Angels with 16 home runs. Rangers could definitely use a home run from Adrian tonight against a very tough pitcher.
That they can. They have their hands full facing Garrett Richards. Should be an interesting battle here at the Big A in Anaheim. Martin Perez looking for a good start this evening. Rangers and Angels coming up right after this on Fox Sports Southwest. Your Texas Ford dealers. The best deals are happening now only at your Texas Ford dealer. Ford is the best in Texas. By AT&T U-verse TV. U-verse has more live TV channels on the go than cable. And by Southwest Airlines. Book your low fares now at southwest.com. Very comfortable evening here in Anaheim, California, near the south coast of California. Before we get things underway, let's head down to the field, check in with John Radigan.
Yeah, Buzz, I'm sitting here looking at the Rangers dugout, and there are lots of smiles and good feelings after an off day here, and why not? On May the 4th, the Rangers were a season-high 8 games under 500. Here we are on September the 4th, and the Rangers are a season-high 8 games over 500. I talked to Jeff Bannister before the game about the pleasant symmetry of those two numbers.
Proud of each one of our guys and what they've been capable of doing, not only individually but collectively, because it did not look well on that date. The message stayed the same, that we continue to play each day at a time, and if we play good enough, we're going to be in good shape. And the other thing I told them early on that I reminded them that if they let us hang around, their teams might wish that they hadn't let us hang around.
Yeah, and the Angels might be feeling a little bit of that right now. They were in first place in the division on July the 23rd. Now they're looking up at both the Rangers and the Astros. Guys, let's get it back up to you.
All right, John, thanks very much. Yeah, things have changed dramatically in the last 6 weeks or so. The fortunes of each team pretty much reversed. Well, Garrett Richards on the hill. Tom's going to tell you now about the Southwest Airlines Texas Rangers lineup he will face.
Delino DeShields will lead off for the Rangers. Shin-Soo Choo will bat second. Prince Fielder, working on an 8-game hitting streak, is batting third. Adrian Beltre, as we mentioned, a .375 hitter in his last 11 games. Mitch Moreland is fifth. Elvis Andrus, a .360 hitter in his last 7 games, bats sixth. Rougned Odor, a team-high .320 average since the All-Star break, will bat seventh. Joey Gallo gets the start in left field, and the catcher batting ninth is Bobby Wilson.
And that is Jeff Bannister's lineup tonight, facing the right-hander, hard-throwing Garrett Richards. Richards 12-10 for the season. A great fastball, one of the hardest fastballs going consistently in the upper 90s. Good curveball combination with that fastball, and as tough as any right-handed pitcher when his command is good. So Garrett Richards on tonight, and we will take a look. Angel defense this evening. And Victorino, Trout in center. Trout, no errors in his last 374 chances. Calhoun in right field. Pujols, Featherston, Ibar, and Freeze. On the infield, Carlos Perez catching tonight. So we are about ready to get underway.
Well, the Rangers have had a terrible time against Garrett Richards. And, you know, a lot of teams don't have a lot of success against Garrett Richards. He's a guy that probably has, as a starting pitcher in the American League, one of the 3 most consistently hard fastballs. It's usually 96 miles an hour. But the thing that distinguishes it from a lot of other mid-90s fastball is the cutting action that it has. It's hard to imagine you can get that kind of cutting movement on a ball going 97 miles an hour.
Yeah, you are right about that, Tom. And it is a tough one to corral, as Garrett Richards found. Command was an issue for him. He's finally gotten that under control. And as he has, hitters around the American League have been much chagrined facing that good live fastball of his. Delino DeShields taking a strike, and the count moves to 1-2. Delino, a .262 average, a couple of home runs, and 28 RBI. Richards to the wind, and a pitch is popped foul out of play. 97 miles an hour with that fastball. Delino, in his last 8 ball games, how about a .324 average? 3 doubles. He scored 6 runs in those 8 games, and that is the measure, I think, that most folks look at that leadoff man and say, okay, how many runs is he scoring for you? That's the measure of the offense's production, and also the leadoff man getting on base and coming around and scoring those. Get the big guys in the middle of the order with the table set for them, and they are going to dine more often than not. 2-2 the count. Hard hit behind the bag. It's by Freese and down the line. Around first, headed for second, and in standing is Delino DeShields with a leadoff two-bagger.
Well, that's a pretty good at bat. You see 5 or 6 pitches, and then you turn on a 97-mile-an-hour fastball and hit it with some authority right down the line. Freese almost made a great play on this ball. Fortunately, the ball trickled by him just enough so that Delino could end up at second base with a double.
Yeah, Freese getting enough leather on that ball to slow it down and make it an easy stand-up double. So Delino in scoring position immediately. Now Shin-Soo Choo will try and at least advance him 90 feet. And he's going to do that with that ground ball if it stays fair. It does. And stepping on the bag is Pujols. Choo is out, but on to third goes Delino DeShields. He's there with one away for Prince Fielder. A productive out for Shin-Soo Choo.
Well, this would be a classic run. You get the leadoff hitter at second, you move him over and get him in one way or the other right here. Looks like the Angels will play the infield back. And so a ground ball, at least back up the middle, should score a run. And with Delino running, any ground ball that doesn't go to the pitcher has a pretty good chance to score a run.
Yep. Well, Prince Fielder, the Rangers' top run producer, 73 RBI. Garrett Richards will work from the stretch and drops in that breaking ball for strike one. Fielder at 317 with the average. Prince starting to get back into the swing of things, so to speak. He's now back up to fourth in the American League with that 317 average. Against the Angels this year, almost a 350 hitter. Another breaking ball, and Prince able to check his swing. 1 ball and 1 strike.
Yeah, if having a 97-mile-an-hour fastball with that cutting action for movement isn't enough, he also throws about a 85, 86-mile-an-hour hard curveball. But when that thing's working, and that's a double dose of trouble.
1-1 to Fielder. Another breaking ball, and Prince, well, he able to check his swing. A lot of folks would not be able to check their swing on those 2 pitches.
That was a bigger curveball at 80 miles an hour, so he has a variety of weapons that he can come at you with.
Prince brings in an 8-game hitting streak. He's been a 323 hitter over those 8 games. Chance to get the Rangers on top. And ball 3. Well, Fielder has yet to see a fastball from Garrett Richards. They head in the count 3-1. Fielder hitting third in the Ranger order. Adrian Beltre, the Ranger third baseman, waits in the on-deck circle. Now Richards ready, a check of third. Another breaking ball, and Fielder takes it, blowing inside, ball 4.
That's basically saying, I don't want any part of Prince Fielder. I'll throw him 5 or 6 hard curveballs down, and if he swings at him, great. If not, I'll take the walk and maybe set up a potential double play.
That's as close to an intentional walk as you're going to get without having it be an intentional walk.
But, you know, all those breaking balls with a fast runner at third, you risk a pitch in the dirt.
Right.
He leads the American League with 14 wild pitches, so there's some risk involved to trying that.
No, 1 away now, runners at the corners. Here's Adrian Beltre, a 272 hitter. Beltre with 13 home runs, 47 driven in. Strike 1 at the knees at 97. Beltre in his last 11 ball games, how about a 375 average? 2 home runs, 9 driven in those 11 games. And you take it over a little bit longer sample, a 354 average in his last 21. Nothing in 2. was thinking about putting 3 on the board with that swing. No balls and 2 strikes. DeShields at third. Prince Fielder at first. In the dirt. Oh, what a nice block that was by Carlos Perez, the young catcher. Not an easy task. And you mentioned the 14 wild pitches, Tom. This was almost number 15.
Yeah. He did a good job. Hit him right square in the middle of the chest protector.
Problem with that curveball, and that bounced straight. Some of them are going to bounce left. A few of them may be right, but it's difficult to predict, and he was fortunate that did go straight. Now 1-2. Chopper to third. Freeze to second. Featherston back to first, and they got it. It looked like he was going to beat it out, and Jeff Bannister saying, hey, hang on here a second. We want Joey Probinski, our video man, to take a look at that upstairs, see if there's any reason that we should question Marty Foster's call at first base on the back end of that double play. And here's one of the views that Joey will be looking at up there. Adrian hustling down that line. Boy, that is close, but not close enough to risk a challenge here in the first inning. So the double play gets the Angels out of that first. For the Rangers, no runs to hit, and 1 man left after a half inning. It's the Rangers nothing, the Angels coming up. I'm going to tell you about their starting lineup.
Well, Cole Calhoun will lead off. He's been terrific against the Rangers. He's hit .452 this year against them. Mike Trout is second. Albert Pujols hit his 555th home run on Wednesday, tied for 14th all time. C.J. Cron will bat fourth, a .435 hitter against the Rangers. Eric Ibar, a .341 hitter. Over his last 11 games, will hit fifth. David Freese is the third baseman. Shane Victorino bats seventh. Carlos Perez is the catcher. He'll hit eighth. And the second baseman, Taylor Featherston, bats ninth.
And Martin Perez goes to work against Cole Calhoun. Our progressive scouting report on Martin, the 24-year-old left-hander. His progress has been a little bit uneven, which you would expect. A couple of steps forward, maybe a half step back. Changeup, though, is an important pitch for him against this Angel ball club. A very aggressive fastball hitting team. And if he can get that changeup in play early, it stands to be a very good pitch for him here tonight. Well, Calhoun, a .268 average. 21 home runs, 69 RBI. This is 40th appearance as the leadoff man. Offensive numbers for Calhoun, .326, a little bit low on the on-base percentage, but for the power numbers, impressive for any spot in the order. And that pitch Gets the outside corner as well. It's 2-2.
That's not a bad spot to keep it right there.
Yeah.
Getting the call on the low outside part of the plate. Getting a lot of outs throwing the ball right there.
Well, Martin, so far this year, has been really tough on left-handed hitters, as you would figure. The 2-2. And a foul tip into the glove of Bobby Wilson for the strikeout. Well, that is out number 1. Martin bringing up the punch-out. Take a look at the Rangers defense. It's delivered to you tonight by Break Check. Rangers again with the Gallo in left. The Shields in center. Chu is in right. Moreland, Odor, Andrews, and Beltre around the infield. Bobby Wilson catching. Mitch Moreland, no errors in his last 652 chances. Mitch, an outstanding club over there at first base. Mike Trout takes strike 1. Trout had been in pretty much a month-long funk since the Rangers last saw him. Hits this one hard. Beltre knocks it down, gloves it, and throws, and Mitch Moreland digs it out. Great reactions by Adrian Beltre at the hot corner.
Yeah, that was a hot shot by Trout. And as usual, if the throw's just a little bit off, you don't have to worry about it with Mitch at first base. He'll pick that ball. Oh, look at it. That was a smash that Adrian was almost facing back toward left field when he caught that ball. But he was able to make the play on it.
And from one knee.
Yep.
Just add a little bit to it.
No problem.
No, 2 outs. And here's Albert Pujols. 1 ball, no strikes. Rangers going to an overshift to the left side with Pujols, one of the few right-handed hitters that you'll see shifted around this way. 2 balls, no strikes. Rougned Odor playing on the shortstop side of second with Elvis well over in that hole. Mitch Moreland all by his lonesome over there on the first base side. Off the end of the bat, and Elvis has a fairly easy play. No, very quick 1-2-3 inning for Martin Perez. 10 pitches, the Angels are gone in order. After 1, no score in Anaheim. Hashtag Southwest Data Strong Fan, and you just might see yourself on one of our upcoming broadcasts. All this made possible by the good folks at T-Mobile. We'll show you the selection for tonight a little bit later on in the ballgame. Ranger fans in attendance as well up the coast. We saw a lot of them in San Diego, and even more this weekend here in Anaheim. Mitch Moreland starting things off for the Rangers here in the second. Garrett Richards fires a knee-high strike. 0-1. Mitch, the game-winning RBI in the 10th inning in San Diego on Wednesday night. He's making a habit of having the game winners Shoots one the
How
other
about
way
that hit?
through the vacated shortstop spot. Freese trying to cut it off and couldn't do it. And Mitch Moreland, who had been having a little bit of a struggle, about a 196 average over the last week and a half, said, "Oh, fine, I'll take it." He's aboard with a leadoff single.
Looked like almost a check swing on that curveball. He just kind of slapped it and just snuck it by Freese. That'll work as a base hit.
There you go, Mitch. Now, one on, nobody out. Elvis will come up. Andrus, 262 with the average. He has fared pretty well, actually, against Garrett Richards, 281 for the Rangers shortstop. One ball, no strikes. Elvis brings in a 5-game hitting streak to play here tonight. He's gone 7 for 18 in those 5 games. That's a 389 mark. Last 7 weeks or so, he has just been smoking hot and consistently hot. It's not, a 3-hit game here, then 2 games where he gets a hit. It's been consistently swinging the bat to a clip of about 309 over 47 games. Over those 47, he's driven in 22. He's had 3 home runs. 1-0 as Richards sets. Just missed it. Down toward the end of the bat ever so slightly, and Victorino will make the play. That is out number 1. And Elvis got a fastball that he was looking for and just missed it.
Yeah, that's a pretty good indication of what you're talking about, Buzz. That's a pitch 97 miles an hour pretty much throughout Elvis's career that he would never have that kind of a swing at.
Yep.
Turned out to be an out, but if he centered that one, goes into the bullpen out there for a home run. That's a part of his offensive arsenal right now that he's never had before.
Well, Moreland remains at first now, 1 away, and Rougned Odor will step up. Odor getting out of that wide open stance against Richards. Sees the breaking ball, dip in for strike 1. Rougned, 278 for the season. And he has been a pretty good model of consistency, just 1 for 13 in his career against Garrett Richards. A little trouble getting out of the box, so Pujols will tag him going by. That is out number 2. Into scoring position goes Mitch Moreland. He's there with 2 outs, and Joey Gallo coming up. Well, the second Ranger to reach scoring position tonight. Rangers, despite winning the last 2 games against San Diego, were a combined 1 for 22 with runners in scoring position the last 2 games.
Wow.
It's you could understand if they had not scored enough runs to win either ball game why that would happen, but to get wins in both games, that's just incredible.
Well, Mitch's game winner came with a man on first base,
right.
So that wasn't a base hit with men in scoring position.
Gallo takes high for ball 1. Joey, second consecutive start. He started on Wednesday night against Ian Kennedy, and Kennedy pretty well worked him over. Struck him out all 3 times. Not an easy task with a hard-throwing Garrett Richards here tonight. Backing out of play. 1-1 the count. Gallo, after leaving the Rangers, being sent down to AAA, ended up hitting 195 at Round Rock in 53 games. Had 14 home runs and 32 RBI. But he was also striking out just about half the time. Jammed him, a pop up to shallow center. Trout coming on, Ibar going out, but Mike Trout makes the call on the catch. And that'll do it. Rangers get a leadoff hit, but Moreland is stranded after 1.5 in Anaheim. No score. You buy your Texas Ford dealers. The best deals are happening now only at your Texas Ford dealer. Ford is the best in Texas. A nice shot outside of Angel Stadium here in Anaheim. Angels come to bat in the bottom of the second. C.J. Cron, Eric Ibar, and David Freese, the first three to face Martin Perez, who had a 1-2-3 inning in the first. 1 ball and 1 strike. Cron handling the DH chores, a .271 average, 10 home runs, and 32 driven in. Tom told you in our pregame remarks about Cron and Calhoun and Trout, what they've done to the Rangers. All hitting over .430 for the year. That one off the end of the bat, easy play for Rougned Odor. 1 gone. Looked like Martin pulled the string a little bit and throw it out in front. The Angels really been struggling offensively for the last month. Same time the Rangers have gotten their offense going, the Angels have gone just the opposite way. Angels in their last 39 ball games are 13-26. Same time the Rangers are 25-13.
Yeah, when you look at the Angels, you go back toward the end of July. David Freese broke his finger on the 22nd. Trout, a little bit later, hurt his wrist diving for a ball. And then more recently, about a couple of weeks ago, Giovatella has some type of an illness. He's been out for the last couple of weeks. And so those all contributed to their problems. Freese, I think, is looked at as kind of a leader on the team, not necessarily with his numbers, but
right.
I think he's been a World Series hero and has that kind of credibility. So missing him for an extended period of time certainly didn't help them.
I think Trout hurt himself in the series the Rangers had here. I believe it was in late July.
Yeah, diving for a ball.
Right.
Yeah.
Rolled over on the wrist or whatever it was.
You know, he missed a couple of games, and you don't know how it affected him over a long period of time. Had to have some effect, though, you would think.
You know, a couple ground balls, 2 outs. Folks, a reminder that on Monday, September the 14th, come on out to the ballpark and wear red. Red out the ballpark against the division rival Houston Astros. That whole series is going to be a red out affair at Globe Life Park. Get 2 upper box or upper reserve seats that are available for just $14 when you use the online coupon code Lone Star. Just go to TexasRangers.com before the seats are gone. So 5 up, 5 down. David Freese, .243 average. And he takes a good fastball to the inside corner. It is 1-1. Freese already surpassed his home run total from last year with his 11th home run early in July. He's the first Angel third baseman, if you can believe this, in 12 years to have 10 or more home runs.
Yeah, that's kind of a position you're looking for.
Yeah.
A little bit of power from.
Line drive, base hit down the right field line. Chu over to cut it off. He'll have to play the carom. Freese into second, will stop there with a 2-out double. So David Freese, and we've seen him drive the ball to right field before. Go back to 2011, and that's one of the worst memories I think Ranger fans have of David Freese. Freese sneaking one inside that line. 2-base hit, first base hit of the night for the Angels. And brings up Shane Victorino. Victorino acquired by the Angels. He and David Murphy acquired to kind of give the Angels a little more depth in the outfield, and particularly in left field. Victorino getting the start against the left-hander Martin Perez tonight. Takes that pitch just off the outer edge. Victorino came over from the Red Sox on the 27th of July. Infielder Josh Rutledge went the other way. This year he's been a .266 hitter against left-handers. And Perez misses low. 2 balls, no strikes.
Victorino's been up 145 times and knocked in 6 runs, so it has not been a hugely productive season for him so far.
Two and one. Now Victorino not figuring in the Red Sox plans. Red Sox not even sure they had a plan. Earlier in the year, everything fell apart that they tried to do.
Well, with David Dombrowski taking over, they probably have a new plan now.
Elvis gobbles up that ground ball. On to Mitch, that will do it. Another 2-out double, no damage. David Freese is stranded at second base. After 2, Rangers nothing, Angels nothing.
Angel Bobby Wilson step in for the Rangers. I'm out here at basically the top of the batter's eye area. I like to find these unique places to sit, and one of the things I noticed about this spot is that all this foliage is fake. I don't want to pull out any secrets, but this is all fake. And there's this huge visual aid out here that Jeff Bannister pointed out to me and to his team today. These are the defending division champions, guys, and he was quick to point that out. Look, the Rangers have not played well against the Angels this year. He wants the guys to remember that as they start this series, and also the fact that they are the defending champs until someone says otherwise, guys.
All right, John, thank you. All that stuff's fake out there. I'll be darned. Who would have known?
That still looks good from a distance.
Well, one good thing, you have to mow with a fake mower. Bobby Wilson, the number 9 man, starting things off for the Rangers here in the third. Scoreless ball game. Bobby back in his old stomping grounds. Bobby came up originally with the Los Angeles Angels. Catcher under Mike Scioscia. 1-1 from Richards. And Freese to the backhand. 1 away. Now, before we go back to the top of the Ranger order for Delino DeShields, let's send it back to Dana Larson for a Mazda game break. All right, Dana, thank you. Yeah, good news, bad news. And that matchup, you hope they beat each other's brains out.
If they played 4, I guess you'd want it to go 2-2.
Yeah.
But the good thing about the Astros, from the Rangers' perspective, is they've got 7 games against them left.
That's right.
So, you know, they can help determine their own fate there.
Yeah, as long as you keep it within, a manageable 3, maybe 4 games at the most. And you get 4 with me. You get 4 coming up at home against them first. And Rangers trying to get everybody to wear red out to the ballpark for those 4 games against the Astros. Red out week at Globe Life Park. Well, Delino DeShields popped out on the first pitch, 2 up, 2 away. Shin-Soo Choo now will step in against Garrett Richards. Richards now has retired the last 5 that he's faced. And drops that curveball in for strike 1. Choo hit a little tapper to first, his first time up. That was with Delino DeShields at second, so it was a productive out in that he got DeShields to third base. Rangers stranded him there.
There's the curveball we wanted with Delino on third base. One that he couldn't block.
That's one of the ones that goes straight up in the air when it hits. Not a lot of fun for a catcher. Choo hitting at 248 as Richards deals to him. 2 balls and a strike. Choo second on the team in batting, second to Rougned Odor since the All-Star break. Choo's been a 309 hitter and had a lot of hits just like that. That's going to plug the gap and go to the wall before Calhoun can get up with it. And Shin-Soo Choo, another double as he plugged that gap in right center.
The Rangers have had some pretty good swings at Richards' fastball. It's probably why he's gone to his curveball as often as he has. He got in trouble in the first inning and used all curveballs to Fielder. And it was a curveball that Beltre hit to third base for the double play.
The third Ranger hit of the night. 2 of them have been doubles. And Choo at second. Here's Prince Fielder. Another opportunity to do some damage here in the early part of the ball game. Here's the first fastball he's seen. It was high and away.
Yeah.
Prince drew that walk in the first. Something that he went about 2 weeks without doing, is grabbing a walk. Getting his average back on the upswing. Right at Pujols on the 2-hopper. And that'll do it. The Rangers get a 2-out double, but Choo is left stranded. We played 2.5 in Anaheim. Rangers nothing, Angels nothing on Fox Sports Southwest. This year. Next opportunity is on Friday, September the 11th, following the Rangers game against the Oakland A's. Fans using the online coupon code FIREWORKS at TexasRangers.com/specials can get seats for just $14. Seats are going fast, so don't wait. Get yours today. Well, Martin Perez back out to the hill. He's facing Carlos Perez, and the young catcher hits a 1-hopper to Adrian Beltre. Beltre and the rest of the Ranger infield has been busy tonight. That is the 6th ground out recorded behind Martin Perez. So 6 ground outs, 1 strikeout. Taylor Featherston now will come up to face Martin. And I guess you're always looking for signs or barometers of how well a guy is pitching other than just the numbers. And you see Martin Perez getting all these ground balls despite one going through for a base hit. You know his stuff is down where he wants it in that strike zone. Featherston, though, able to drill a ground ball through the middle for a base hit. I'm talking about Martin Perez, our Kubota Power Stats. In the month of August, Martin Perez went from 0-2 and a 10.50 ERA in July to 2-1 with a 3.13 in August. That's the largest July to August ERA decrease in the major leagues this year. That's a pretty good barometer to tell you he's getting things going the right way.
Featherston's base hit, he was 13 for 100 going into that at bat.
Cole Calhoun not able to check his swing. He appealed down to third. He got a negative response as far as the Angels were concerned. Calhoun, a strikeout victim in the first inning. That's Mike Malinsky, by the way, down at third, making that call. 1 ball and 1 strike. Ranger infield playing Calhoun a couple of steps to the right. Not a huge overshift by any means. We mentioned Martin Perez able to nullify the left-handers pretty well. Throw to second and just in time to get the sliding Featherston. Boy, Mitch took a chance.
That's cutting it close.
Yes, it is. But he was able to get Featherston at second.
But it's a big play. Get the leadoff run. The lead runner. See how close it is. I thought he was safe from my angle.
Well, that's pretty close. Well, Featherston waited out there for a little while. And, yeah, that foot came up.
There it is.
Yeah.
Great call by the second base umpire, Mike Winters. If he slid straight into the bag, he might have been safe, but his foot was on top of the bag, over the bag.
No, that is the second out. Calhoun trades places with Featherston. Now Calhoun at first. Mike Trout hit a rocket that Adrian Beltre flagged down in the first inning. He is 0 for 1. Trout at 296 with the season average. 2 balls, no strikes. Mentioned Trout starting to turn things around. He is 7 for his last 16 times at the plate. And that follows on the heels of an 8 for 39 streak. That's a 186 average. Off speed, that catches the inside corner to make it 2-1. Longest drought of Trout's career without a home run. 89 straight at bats without leaving the ballpark. Shoots one through the right side for a base hit. Calhoun will pull in at second. Thought about making the turn and heading to third, but decided better. So 2 on with 2 out. And Albert Pujols now coming up. Rangers with pretty much an overshift, and Trout taking advantage of it. Well, here's Albert now, and with the runner at second base in a scoreless ball game, I don't think you can play Pujols around to the left. I don't think you can put an overshift on. Pujols is too adept at doing what Trout just did.
Yeah, when there's a runner in scoring position out there, I agree with you on that, Buzz. He's the kind of hitter that a lot of hitters just hit it and it goes where it goes, but sometimes he hits it and it goes where he wants it to go.
Mitch is going to play off the line to try and cut that hole down a bit. Odor shaded up the middle, although still on the first base side of second. 1 ball, no strikes. Pujols hit a soft ground ball to short back in the first inning. Numbers for Pujols, very un-Pujols-like. Just a .213 average this year in these situations. 2 outs, a runner in scoring position. And that pitch just off the outer edge. 2-0. Well, Pujols, one of the best run producers, not just of active players, but of all time. He is 27th on the all-time RBI list. Make that 26th. He's sneaking up on Cal Ripken. Ripken at 1,695 RBI. Albert 1,683. He's ahead of the count, 3 balls and no strikes. Pujols hitting third as runners at first and second. C.J. Cron, the DH, is in the on-deck circle. Martin needs to be careful here on 3-0. Outside, ball 4. Pujols takes the walk. That'll load him up for Cron and also bring Mike Maddox out of the Ranger dugout. First walk of the night issued by Martin Perez. Mike out to talk with his young left-hander along with Bobby Wilson. See what they have up their sleeve for C.J. Cron. Cron rounded out to second base his first time up here. Went right off the end of the bat, got a changeup from Martin Perez. That was the first at bat for Cron against Perez in a regular season game. So not a lot of experience with the left-hander. And we'll see if that plays into Martin's hands. Base is full of Angels with 2 outs. And the pitch to Cron is off speed and on the inside corner. Cron with 10 home runs and 32 RBI this year. Looper to left center, that's going to fall for a hit. 1 run is home. Trout right behind Calhoun scores. And on Cron's 2-run single, the Angels take a 2-0 lead.
Well, he's trying to throw him a fastball in, and he did. And Cron hit it right off the handle and looped it into left center field. Got the ball in, barely touching the plate, jammed him, and he ended up with a 2 RBI hit.
So most of this happening with 2 outs. Now runners at first and second, 2 runs across. Eric Ibar, switch hitting shortstop, steps in against Perez. Ibar grounded to third his first time up there. He yanks that first pitch foul and almost knocked a couple of the Angels right off their seat. Ibar 274 the average. Couple of home runs, 38 driven in. We've remarked before that Ibar not your typical number 5 hitter, but a guy that can produce runs, and like Socha had trouble finding somebody in the bottom part of the middle of the order. He's asked Ibar to fill an unfamiliar spot, and Ibar's done a pretty good job. Got 20 doubles this season, so he's got extra base power, just not out of the ballpark power. Pujols at second, Cron at first, and Ibar pops it up. Rougned Odor angling out, makes the catch, and that'll do it. The Angels, though, get on the board. They get 2 runs on 3 hits and a lead 2. After 3, Angels 2, Rangers nothing. to you by Southwest Airlines. Book your low fare now at southwest.com. And by Mazda. In every car we make, you'll see why driving matters. Angel Stadium in Anaheim, California. Angels leading the Rangers 2-0 as the Rangers come to bat here in the top of the fourth. It'll be Beltre, Moreland, and Andrews to face Garrett Richards. Richards has allowed one hit in each of the first 3 innings. Rangers, though, have been stymied about getting on the board in the run column. Adrian grounded into a double play his first time up. That's something the Rangers have done fewer times than anybody in Major League Baseball this year. Beltre is just the 82nd ground ball double play that the Rangers have hit into this year. 1-0 pitch. Now 2 balls and no strikes. Adrian 9 for 31 against Garrett Richards coming into play tonight. 3-0. Richards in danger of issuing his second walk of the game. And the Rangers trying to get their leadoff man aboard for the 3rd time in 4 innings. And they will not do it on that pitch. Adrian trying to coax ball 4. Out of home plate umpire Mark Wagner, but he was having none of it. Fouled back to the right. 3 balls and 2 strikes. Beltre trying to get on to start the 4th inning. Mitch Moreland is in the on-deck circle. Beltre tired of waiting and backs out. Now we're set to go. Richards with the payoff pitch. Featherston at second. 1 gone. Next will be Moreland. Mitch had a seeing eye single by David Freese, who they're going to play in the same alignment this time. Freese about midway between second and third, right at the cut of the grass on the left side. He's the only Angel on that side of the infield. Angels swing their infield way around to the right, and Freese left the guard about 115 feet of the left side of the diamond.
I'm trying to figure why Freese would play in so close.
Somewhere along the line, somebody in the Angels saw Mitch bunt.
I can't remember it.
I've
seen him try it. I've
Yeah.
seen him try a couple times, but I can't remember him getting a bunt.
No,
down.
I can't either. Maybe it might have been spring training or something. I don't know. Pulls this one on the ground, and Pujols will win that race to the bag. 2 out. Well, base is empty now for Elvis Andrus. Well, Elvis coming up. That gives us a chance to show you our Ford leaderboard. Active leaders and career batting average here at Angel Stadium. Elvis 3rd on that list. Joe Mauer at 362, the tops. And Johnny Peralta at 323. Elvis at 321. Alex Rodriguez 320, and A.J. Pierzynski at 319. Well, it's 321 in this ballpark. And remember, there were a few guys from Southern California that had ties at it. Michael Young comes to mind, that used to wear the Angels out in this ballpark. Seemed like the more passes that they left for each game, the more hits they got. 0-1 pitch. That's out of play to the right. And the count moves to 0-2. Elvis going to have to go back and get a new bat. Andrus' first time up. Got a fastball just out off the end of the bat a little bit. Didn't quite get the good wood on it and fly it out to left field. Well, he's stepping back in with that new piece of wood. 5-game hitting streak for the Rangers shortstop. .389 average we talked about. Up the middle, over the bag, into center field, a base hit. Well, Elvis continues to swing that magic wand in this ballpark for sure. Rangers with a 2-out base runner again. Folks, grab your family fun pack tickets all throughout September. You can get 4 tickets in the Cholula all-you-can-eat seats, 2 Kids Zones wristbands, and 15% off players' t-shirts for only $35 each. Visit TexasRangers.com. Use the coupon code FOXFAMILY to get yours today. So 2 out, 1 on. Rougned Odor tapped out to first, his first time. 0-1. Odor, since being recalled from Round Rock after his hiatus down there, middle of June 15th, he has hit .330, 10 home runs, 34 RBI, and that .330 average is the 6th highest in the American League in that time span. 1-1. Odor also gone 8 for 24 in his last 6 ball games. There's the information for you graphically. 4 doubles, a couple of home runs. 1-1 pitch coming from Richards. 2 balls and a strike. Rougned still just 21 years of age, and Elvis Andrus down at first. This used to be his favorite running ballpark. Seemed like every time he got on first base before, he was taking off for second and then for third as fast as he could.
Yeah, the Rangers had a couple of games here against the Angels where they just ran them right out of the park. I like the note that you see almost in every ballpark on Rougned. Bill Mazeroski is the only other second baseman with 20 or more home runs prior to their 22nd birthday. It's pretty amazing.
Yes, it is. Yeah, it is. Rougned ahead of the count, 3-1. Ball 4. Well, he draws the walk. Rangers now with 2 aboard. And Joey Gallo coming up. Second walk issued by Garrett Richards tonight. He's going to get a visit from Mike Butcher, the pitching coach. Well, this hasn't been the dominant Garrett Richards that we've seen. He's been good, but we have seen him better against the Rangers in the past.
He hasn't struck anybody out yet. So the Rangers are putting the ball in play. Had some good swings at him. They've had men at first and third, 1 out in the first. They had a man in scoring position in the second, the third, and now the fourth. So the only thing they've lacked so far is that base hit in a key point in the game with a man in scoring position. Maybe this will be it right here from Joey.
Gallo hitting at .209. 5 home runs, 13 driven in. A big spot for him here. 2 on and 2 out. He sees a breaking ball on the first pitch. It is ball 1. Gallo, who saw very little other than a fastball from Ian Kennedy the other night, probably happy to see a couple breaking balls. Get one hung up there to him and do a little damage with that big swing of his. 1 ball and 1 strike. Gallo popped out to shallow center back in the second inning. He's got Andrus out at second base, Odor at first. Angels in a huge overshift. A ball and 2 strikes. Two completely different philosophies about pitching to Gallo that we've seen from Wednesday night to Friday night here in Anaheim. Wednesday night it was fastball after fastball up and predominantly in. Tonight it's nothing but breaking balls from Garrett Richards. 2-2. Richards study the signs. Gallo patiently waiting. Looked like he might have cut down on the open stance a little bit more straight away than we saw him in San Diego. Breaking ball, call, strike 3. Nothing but hooks. The last one catching the outside corner. Gallo gone, and so are the Rangers. No runs a hit, 2 are left. After 3.5, Angels 2, Rangers nothing. Timeless moment. We'll take you back to September the 4th of 2002. Some 13 years ago, the Oakland A's set an AL record by winning their 20th straight ball game. Scott Hatteberg hit a walk-off home run, giving Oakland the 12-11 win over Kansas City. That was a game in which the A's at one point led 11-0. Squandered that lead, and then Hatteberg saved them in extra innings, getting the walk-off for their 20th straight win. David Freese starting off for the Angels here in the 4th inning. It'll be Freese, Victorino, and Perez. Martin Perez going with the straight changeup missed. 2 balls and no strikes. Freese doubled inside the right field line his first time up. Elvis to the backhand. Fires, gets him. 1 out. A lot of work for the infielders tonight. They have had ground ball after ground ball. Now Shane Victorino, who also had a ground ball his first time. That was right at Elvis. 0 for 1 this evening. Hits are even at 4 in this game. The Angels, however, bunched 3 of their 4 hits in the 3rd inning to create 2 runs. 1 ball, no strikes. Perez to the wind. He comes back and misses just outside. 2-0. We're talking about the Angels and Rangers, the difference in the 2 teams going back to July 23rd. Rangers have outscored the opposition in those 38 ball games by just 2 runs, but I say just, that's 78 more than the Angels have been outscored by. Angels way down in the run scoring column. Mike Scioscia's club really falling on hard times offensively, and at the same time they're pitching has faltered significantly. Starter's ERA has been up over 5, and bullpen ERA has been right on 4.5. So Victorino draws the 1-out walk. He is aboard, and Carlos Perez coming up. Folks, on Monday, September the 14th through Thursday, September the 17th, Rangers face the hated Houston Astros in a crucial AL West showdown. We need your help to red out the ballpark at Globe Life Park. All red players t-shirts are 20% off now through the 17th at all Rangers retail locations, so get yours today. Carlos Perez, a ground ball to third base, his first time to the plate. That walk, by the way, just the second issued by Martin Perez tonight. Victorino aboard. Victorino runs pretty well. Modest lead at first. 1 ball, no strikes. Carlos Perez made his major league debut earlier this year. Back on May 5th, as a matter of fact, the Angels playing the Seattle Mariners. Carlos got into his first big league game. Hit and run is on, and he pounds that pitch foul at the far end of the Angel dugout. Victorino back to first with a count of 1-1. Perez, in his major league debut, had a couple of hits and had his first major league home run that evening. Hit a walk-off home run in the bottom of the 9th inning here in Anaheim. That's popped foul. That will work its way back into the seats down the right side. A ball and 2 strikes. Well, Perez, like his opponent on the mound, a native of Venezuela. Victorino being held on by Mitch Moreland over there at first. Angels batting in the bottom of the 4th inning, leading 2-0. Perez making sure that Victorino doesn't have designs on stealing second.
If he steals second with that lead, he's the fastest man in the league.
You're not buying that being a stealing lead, huh?
No, not unless he's just kind of trying to deke him with a little lead and then get a running start.
But 2 balls, 2 strikes. Rangers in a double play depth, maybe a step to the left for Carlos Perez. Another foul ball. So Martin Perez approaching the 60 pitch level. Very comfortable night out here in Southern California, so fatigue should not be, or at least fatigue because of the weather should not be a problem. That's inside. The count is full now to Carlos Perez.
Yeah, last thing you want to do is get a little too fancy with the bottom of this lineup. Victorino's a .216 hitter, Perez .220, and Featherston .130. So these are guys you want to go right after and get.
Featherston will hit next.
Yeah, he started the 2-run rally.
Yep. Victorino on the move. The pitch is outside. Ball 4. Back-to-back walks to the 7th and 8th place hitter. Featherston will come up with 2 on and 1 out.
It's one thing if you're in the middle of the lineup and you're pitching carefully, but this is the part of the lineup you don't have to be quite as careful to.
Well, Mike Maddox out there, and I'm sure that's one of the messages that he is bringing with him. That we need for you to go after Featherston with your good stuff in the strike zone. But now with the back-to-back walks, you put yourself in a position where a bloop base hit's going to score a run. That's not an enviable spot to be in. Plus, you've got the top of the order right after Featherston, as you mentioned, Tom.
Yep. Yeah, you've got some guys that can do some damage. First 5 guys in the lineup, and Freeze, I guess, for that matter. But bottom of the order, if you're going to have a good game against the Angels, you want to take care of the bottom of the order.
Well, Featherston had a base hit. He grounded a ball into center field his first time. That snapped an 0 for 7 that he brought into the ball game. Just activated the other day from the disabled list. He missed a couple of weeks of play. Had an upper back strain. In there now with 2 on and 1 out. Featherston, 1 home run this year, 5 driven in. Hit his first big league home run back on June the 18th. Nothing and 1. Angels really trying to find a replacement for Johnny Giovatello, who was the guy they were counting on to play second base on virtually an everyday basis. Howie Kendrick, of course, dealt to the Dodgers in the winter, and Angels felt they had a replacement for him, and it just hadn't worked out. Mike Socias tried several people at second base. Giovatello had taken the job, and then, as Tom told you, he fell ill. He was on the disabled list and may not be back the rest of the year. He's having some vision problems.
Yeah, and he was not Howie Kendrick, but he was a solid guy. He was playing well against the Rangers, playing well against the league for that matter. Feisty little guy, made things happen. So yeah, they miss him. And they missed David Freese when he was out of the lineup for a month too. Trying to find someone to play over there. Did not go well for him.
1-1 to Featherston. Now 2-1. Martin, missing on both sides of the plate, has fallen behind Featherston. Martin now up over 62 pitches with this next offering. 32 strikes and 30 balls so far. That's out of play down the right side, and it evens the count at 2-2. Bannister shaking his head at something that he saw or was said to him. Now Perez gets the sign from Bobby Wilson. Double play ground ball to Odor. To Andrus, they turn it over. 4-6-3, and that takes care of the Angels. No runs, no hits. 1 left. We've finished 4 in Anaheim. It's the Angels 2 and the Rangers nothing.
when you come to Southern California for a series, you spend the night at the ballpark, but you can spend a day at the beach. That's what we have been able to do the last few days, but not just lounging at the beach. We've actually been working. Now, when you see little dots like that in the ocean when you're at the beach, you know they are surfers. Those are guys sitting on their boards waiting for the waves, and that is Jose Vasquez this morning, the Rangers strength and conditioning coach. There he is Wednesday morning in San Diego surfing. Jose, who knew, is a really good surfer. That right there, Buzz and Tom, is me. In my attempt. No, actually, I really didn't even try, because Jose's like the most in-shape guy I know, and he came back winded and tired and said, that kicked my butt. I'm like, well, I'm definitely not in shape enough to do that, guys. It was fun watching him. We'll have a full story on Jose's surfing exploits next Friday night on Rangers Insider.
Oh, good. That's pretty cool, John. Those little black dots I'm afraid of are sharks.
Yeah, I am too.
Well, Bobby Wilson opens up the Ranger fifth inning by singling sharply to left field. Bobby Wilson back in his old stomping grounds. 1 out of 2, and the Rangers have 1 hit in each of the first 5 innings now.
Again, we've had men in scoring position every inning. Got the leadoff hitter on in this inning. Only strikeout that Richards had was a strikeout of Joey Gallo on a curveball. It looked like it was actually outside. Got the call on it, but didn't look like it ever came back to catch the outside corner.
No, 1 on, nobody out. Top of the order now. Delino to Shields, 1 for 2, a double, and a pop out to second. Delino can get that speed faction going. He tries to bunt. It's 0-1 on the foul ball. Haven't seen Delino successfully get a bunt down in a couple of weeks. Kind of got away from it a little bit, and now he's having trouble putting it back in play. He's tried several times lately, just hasn't been able to get it down. Richards ready for the 0-1 pitch. A ball and a strike. Now the right-hander ready once again. That target set low and away. Came pretty close to hitting it, but it was outside. We talked about Richards and the stuff that he had tonight. It's not as good as some of the stuff we've seen from him before, but just to kind of point that out, he's only had 3 swings and misses in his 60 pitches tonight, 61 now. And for him, that's a very low swing and miss rate. Ibar to the bag at second for 1. In the dirt, dugout by Pujols. A 6-3 double play. Second double play tonight, turned by the Angels.
That looked like a pitch hanging up in the strike zone. Delino had a good swing at it, hit it okay, just didn't find a hole with it.
And that's about the only kind of ball you're going to turn a double play with Delino running. Sharply hit ball right at the shortstop near the bag, or at the second baseman near the bag. So base is empty, 2 away. Here is Shin-Soo Choo, who had a double into the gap in right center his last time up. He's 1 for 2. Choo at 249 with the average. A ball and a strike. Choo getting his on-base percentage up to where he's accustomed to having it, up at 424. And despite his struggles this year with his batting average, 424 mark, good for 5th in the American League. The 2-1. Left center field. Long run over Victorino. He gets it on the run. A great reaching catch by Victorino. So some great defense Thrown out there by the Angels. Rangers are gone. No runs a hit and nobody left as Shane Victorino hauls in a bolt off the bat of Chu. Still 2-0 Angels midway through the game. Park. It's a pivotal AL West showdown between the Rangers and the Astros. It's also just one of just 2 chances left to enjoy a dollar hot dog night at a Globe Life Park. Don't wait to get your tickets for this important matchup. TexasRangers.com. Top of the order here in the bottom of the 5th inning for the Angels. Cole Calhoun reached on a fielder's choice his last time up and scored the first Angel run of the night. He is 0 for 2 officially. Angels with 4 hits, Rangers with 5. With a couple of double plays have really put a crimp in the style of the Rangers tonight. 0-2 to Calhoun.
Both pitchers getting a lot of ground balls. Perez, 10 of his 12 outs. Richards, 10 of his 15 outs. Only a couple of strikeouts in the game.
Martin Perez now ready to go to work. This is outside, 1 ball and 2 strikes. Calhoun, another one of the Angels that have been in a pretty good slump, although lately he has come back out of it. 9 for his last 23 times up. That's a .391 average. Call strike 3. Martin Perez got the inside corner for his second strikeout of the night.
Got Calhoun twice. Got him once on the outside corner and once on the inside corner.
Mark Wegner sitting right there on that inside corner, saw it all the way and rang it up. The 1 gone. Here's Mike Trout. Trout 1 for 2. Trout's a single in the 3rd inning. Put him in position to come around and score on C.J. Cron's 2-run base hit. Beltre across the diamond. 2 gone. And before Albert Pujols comes up, let's send it back to Dana Larson for a Mazda game break. Dana, thank you very much. How about Chris Davis? 40 home runs again.
Every time I watch the highlights and I see his home runs, I see pitchers throwing the ball down and out over the plate, and the ball going 400 feet.
Yep.
We tend to pitch him tough. We're throwing fastballs up. he doesn't have quite the same success.
Maybe, 2-0 the count to Pujols.
Maybe we know him better than other teams.
Well, yeah, and there's a little bit of, how you want to say it, a little bit of a jinx going, I think, with Chris and his relationship with the Rangers, too. He's trying a little too hard, I think.
Yeah, maybe.
Against his former team. 3-0 to Pujols. And ball 4. He is aboard once again. Second straight walk to Pujols. He's on with 2 outs. C.J. Cron coming up. 4 walks on the night now for Martin Perez. Cron, the difference in the ball game so far. He drove in the 2 Angel runs in the 3rd inning. For Cron, RBI number 33 and 34. And as we mentioned, no stranger to doing damage against the Rangers. Those 2 RBI now give him 14 in his career. Check that, 14 this year. In 11 games. This is his 12th game. Oh, 1 pitch. Nice stop by Bobby Wilson. And this was our pregame point starting today. See Cron right in the middle of those guys. 435 against the Rangers, 2 home runs, 12 RBI. Trout 432 with 4 and 11, and Cole Calhoun 452 with 2 and 14. And Cron's added to his numbers this evening. 1-1 pitch to him. To right field, that is slicing into the corner and going foul. Foul by 4 or 5 feet right near the foul pole. .333 feet down either line here in Anaheim. And Cron certainly strong enough to reach the seats down there. A ball and 2 strikes. Now Perez, a belt high set. He checks Pujols. Popped up. That is going to slice just into the second row down there. We'll go over to take a look. And we'll reset and try it again. Cron turning things around for himself. .322 average over his last 24 ball games. Another foul ball. One of the reasons the Angels went out and got both Victorino and David Murphy. Murphy filling the left-handed complement to C.J. Cron for the DH spot. Angels felt they weren't getting enough production. That ball's hit well to center field. Going back, Delano to Shields on the track at the wall. It's off the wall, and Karam's away. Pujols will score. Cron going to third is in standing with a triple high off the wall, and the Angels lead it 3-0 as Cron has driven in all 3 runs.
Well, kind of pitching around Albert Pujols and get burned by Cron, who's added to his .435 average against the Rangers with a 2-for-3 night tonight. He dinked one in, little blooper for 2 RBIs, and then ripped this one high off the wall in right center field.
That was about 5 feet vertically from going over the wall, or 10 feet horizontally from being a home run also, where that wall drops down. So 3-0. Cron now at third with 2 outs for Eric Ibar. That's Cron's second run-producing two-out hit tonight. And the two-run single in the third. Now the RBI triple here in the fifth. Beltre on across to Moreland, and that'll do it. Cron strikes again. The Angels get a run on a hit and leave one. After 5, it's now the Angels 3 and the Rangers nothing. Sonic drive in. If a Ranger hits a home run during this inning, Cynthia Jarvis from Lancaster, Texas, will win $1,700. And if a Ranger hits a grand slam this inning, Cynthia is going to take home $25,000. You can register at any participating Sonic restaurant. Well, Cynthia, hang on. You got the guys up here that can do the damage, win you some money, and hopefully get 3 guys on and win you a whole bunch of money. Prince Fielder 0 for 1 tonight. He has walked and grounded to first. Garrett Richards back to the hill, has a 3-run lead now to protect, and he misses outside for ball 1. Prince still at .317, average right where he began things tonight. That is inside. And the count is 2 balls and no strikes. Fielder mentioned the 8-game hitting streak that he has on the line here tonight. Last 4 games, he has gone 6 for 15. That pitch a bit low. It's 3-0. Well, Fielder trying to get aboard to start off this 6th inning. Adrian Beltre will be next. Way inside, ball 4. And there's the leadoff walk. You know, one sure way to get a rally going is to walk the opposition's first hitter.
Well, the Rangers have had some chances. Trying to string something together here. Get something on the board. Put a little pressure on Richards.
It's the 4th time now the Rangers have had their leadoff man aboard tonight. The fielder at first. Here's Beltre. 0 for 2, a couple of groundouts, one of them resulting in a double play. Richards comes back with strike 1 to Adrian. Beltre, evidence that that thumb is feeling better. 6 home runs in his last 31 games. That's after just 1 home run in the previous 31 games. Hits this one hard to left field. Victorino right there for out number 1. Beltre, a hard out number 1. Chevron would like to Have you check in on the lineup for tomorrow? The starting pitchers, Derek Holland, after a great start his last time out, taking the hill with that 2-1 record. Jared Weaver, back off the disabled list for the Angels, still scuffling a bit. 6-10 for the Angels ace of the past. Be with you at 8 o'clock Central Daylight Time, right here on Fox Sports Southwest. And our thanks to Chevron for getting that matchup to you. Here's Mitch Moreland, who is 1 for 2. Well, Mitch going up there looking for that fastball, and he got one and tried to ambush it. 0-1 on the foul ball. Moreland at 287. Had a ground ball base hit right through the shortstop hole his first time up. Mitch 2 out of 6 on this road trip. All the way to the backstop.
It hit him.
And it hit him. Hit him on a bounce, it looked like. So Moreland will get first. Down to second goes Fielder. And just like that, with a walk and a hit batter, 1 out, the Rangers have the tying run coming to the plate in Elvis Andrus.
Well, you'll take your base runners any way you can get them. Ball hit right off his foot. It looked. I tried to figure out how it started there and ended up between the catcher's legs, and there's the reason.
Yep, hit him on the toe.
Glanced right off his foot. Well, Elvis has been swinging a good bat. Rubened's been swinging a good bat. So you've got 2 good hitters to have up there with a chance to get breakthrough and score some runs here against Richards. Richards coming into the game in his last 37 innings against the Rangers had a 1.46 ERA, and that's obviously lower after 5 1/3 shutout innings. The Rangers trying to change that.
Yep.
Got a base hit and a home run.
Mike Butcher out there to kind of calm down the situation a bit, talking to Richards and Carlos Perez. Elvis stepping in 1 for 2 tonight. And a base hit to center in the 4th inning. Also flied out to left field. Angel infield at double play depth with Featherston and Ibar up the middle, shading Elvis a step or 2 around to the left. Got the breaking ball on the first pitch.
Yeah. Elvis was thinking drive that fastball somewhere to left field.
Elvis 263 now with the average. 50 RBI for the Rangers shortstop. Trying to get the Rangers on the board here in the 6th inning. One ball and 1 strike. Elvis in his career has hit Angel pitching to a 309 average, both at home and on the road. He has set several career marks against the Angels. Takes that pitch that just catches the upper reaches of the strike zone. It's 1-2, and that's a tough pitch to have called a strike on you.
Well, it looks like it's a hanger, but it's so far up and in, and it had to come down and toward the plate to even catch the inside corner, that it's not that easy a pitch to hit.
Yeah.
Most of the time you're going to take it because you just can't anticipate that it's going to be a good pitch to hit. You're actually better off if it breaks down and much more out over the plate.
Still a ball and 2 strikes. Elvis this year, that runner in scoring position average on the rise. Now up to 240. Rangers average had been on the rise until that 1 for 22 down in San Diego. Elvis with Prince Fielder out there at second. He's trailed by Mitch Moreland over at first. Another foul off to the right. Talking about Elvis and what he has done against the Angels. He scored 70 runs. He has the most hits and steals. He has 39 stolen bases against the Angels. Those are high water marks for him against any club. Ibar in to say something to both Carlos Perez and to Garrett Richards. Now Richards ready. Another 1-2 is coming. 2 balls and 2 strikes. Sure, Ibar went in there and said, look, he's fouled 2 pitches off to the right. Whatever you do, don't make it anything slower. And get in a better spot if you want to throw him a curveball. Full count. No, Elvis able to check his swing on a couple of breaking balls out of the zone. Elvis trying to get aboard. That would load the bases in our sonic slam inning. Rougned Odor waiting in that on-deck circle. Three and 2 with 1 out. Richards with a payoff pitch. Ball 4 emphatically.
Man, he just won't throw his fastball, will he?
Nope.
I don't think I remember a game where he's thrown this many breaking balls. Like you say, he threw Elvis a couple of fastballs that Elvis fought off in foul territory down the right field line. That was a 1-2 count. Then he throws him 3 straight curveballs out of the strike zone to load the bases. So, Buzz, that might tell you that he's not feeling too good about his fastball tonight, doesn't it?
I agree. Yeah, that's exactly what it tells you. And if you're a hitter, for the most part, you can eliminate the fastball until he's going to throw some in the strike zone. Well, up there looking for that breaking ball. He's going to hang you one. If he throws you 3 or 4 in a bat, he's going to hang at least one of them for you. Well, here's Rougned now. The bases are loaded in our sonic slam inning. Odor with 11 home runs this year. He takes ball 1. Garrett Richards really trying to get the Rangers back in this game. And he's done it so far with a hit batter and 2 walks. He's loaded the bases with 1 out in this 6th inning. Odor has drawn a walk and grounded out.
It's the 5th time that the Rangers have had an inning with a man, at least one man in scoring position.
Ball 2. Fernando Salas, right-hander, up and loosening in that Angel bullpen. Richards up to 84 pitches now, and he only has thrown 8 more strikes than balls, 46 strikes. And he gets that one down at the knees. 2-1.
You pretty much have to give him that one. In this kind of a game, down by 3, make him throw at least a strike. Rougned's seen his fastball now, 2-1. He won't be taking another fastball, I wouldn't think.
Especially if it's down in that area. He loves that one down there. Got Fielder at third, Moreland at second, Andrus at first. 2 balls and a strike to Odor. Popped foul down the left side. Victorino into foul ground, makes the catch. Fielder tagging, he's coming down the line and will score. The throw back to second in time as they got Moreland. And the run does count. Fortunately, Fielder crossed home plate before the out was recorded at second. But Mitch caught on a quick throw back to second base on the cutoff.
They're going to argue that the run didn't get to home plate before the out was made at second. Umpire was emphatic in his call that it did count. I don't know if they're going to challenge it or not.
Now this is new this year. They can challenge that position of the runner, a tag play like that. That can be challenged, and Mike Scioscia's coming out to tell Mark Wegner exactly what he wants to challenge. And that will be the challenge from Mike Scioscia, that the out was recorded at second base before Prince Fielder got to home plate. So they'll have to use a couple of different angles. And here we have it, the 2 angles that we'll be able to use. Here's the cutoff. Fielder hustling down that line. And these are synced up time-wise. Fielder, boy, right at home plate as that tag is applied.
I think the umpire had it right.
Now, that looks close enough to where you might say the ruling on the field would stand. The folks here at Angel Stadium getting a look up at the big scoreboard. They're being shown an angle. And this will be from behind home plate for you. Ibar cutting it off. The throw to second. Fielder just now getting that foot or leg onto home plate. As the out is made at second. Boy, that's about as close as you can make it.
Which means I don't see how they can call it no run.
Yep.
Boy, you hate to have an out at second base on that kind of a play. You're down by 3 runs.
But either way, the inning is over. We know that. Will the Rangers have a run or not? Will it be a 3-1 game, or will the Angels still have a 3-0 lead? And that is what is being decided back at Replay Command Center in New York. Meanwhile, the crew chief Mike Winters and Mark Wagner, the home plate umpire who made that call, have the headsets on, and they are talking to the folks in New York. Looks like Prince's leg just had contacted home plate as that tag was applied. Going to use all kinds of technology there to maybe blow part of that up. I don't know. I don't know what they can do and what they can't. Now here's the synced two versions
There's
of
no
it.
way you can call them out before that run scored.
He's not quite to home plate yet.
He's closer to home plate than that glove is to the runner.
Yeah, we will see what the replay official back in New York decides. He's the one that's got to make that determination. And again, all you have to do is touch home plate before that out is made, and the run counts. But if the replay official looks at the various angles and the leg had not contacted home plate before the tag was applied, the run does not count.
Yeah, and even if the run counts, it's still a great opportunity to score more than one run that inning.
Yeah.
Bases loaded, 1 out, down by 3. Rangers just have not been able to get that hit. 5th inning with men in scoring position. 5th straight inning, they weren't able to get a hit.
Now it's kind of a carryover, I guess, from the other night, and we'll get another look at it from that stationary camera behind home plate. That is just about as close as you can possibly get it. And we are going to have a decision forthcoming. The run does count. So the determination that the out was not made before Prince crossed home plate. The call stands, meaning there wasn't definitive evidence to overturn the call or uphold the call. Well, Rangers score a run. We're going to the bottom of the 6th. It's now the Angels 3-1 over the Rangers. Martin Perez working to the first hitter here in the bottom of the 6th. That's David Freese, and Freese now with a count of 2 balls and a strike. David Freese 1 out of 2. Angels leading 3-1. Rangers getting that run on the appealed call. Freese a double in 2 trips tonight. That double came back in the 2nd inning. He pops up the next pitch down the right side, and Odor racing over there. Rugen not able to get there quite in time. Well, the count goes to 2-2. In case you folks were wondering what in the world happened to why you missed the first pitch to David Freese this inning. After a replay review like that, we're supposed to get the full allotted time for commercials between innings, and the umpiring crew decided not to give him the full time. So when Martin Perez was ready to go, and it was only a minute into the normal time, he went ahead and pitched. And David Freese caught looking at a third strike call. 3 strikeouts for Perez now, 1 away, and Shane Victorino coming up.
Tough pitch, but it's a strike.
Shane Victorino 0 for 1 with a walk. Angels 3 runs on 5 hits. Rangers 1 run on 5 hits tonight. A strike at the upper reaches of the strike zone. Victorino, .233 average overall. Beltre right there. 2 out. More ground ball outs for Martin Perez. Beltre has been busy tonight. Carlos Perez now, the catcher, will come up. Perez walked his last time to the plate. He is 0 for 1 officially. 2.21 average for the young catcher. A curveball from Martin that drops in. One ball and 1 strike. Looks like Martin's feeling better because he's working a little more quickly. Whatever had gone wrong before kind of made him slow down a little bit too, and that's usually not a good combination.
Yeah, might have gotten a little bit of a pep talk on the bench too.
Mm-hmm. Could have. Foul tipped, and we will try the 1-2 pitch again. Carlos Perez, 3 home runs, 16 driven in this year. Mark Wegner giving Bobby Wilson a little extra time. That last foul tip got a pretty good chunk of Bobby. Behind the bag, a fair ball. Long throw for Beltre. Boy, he's right on the money. Got a 140-foot throw from Beltre, and it couldn't have been more perfect. 3 up, 3 down. Angels gone after 6 complete. 3-1 Los Angeles. One name, C.J. Cron. That is all you need to know because that's done the damage for the Angels. A 2-run single for Cron in the 3rd. And then in the 5th, high off the wall and deepest right center field, a run-scoring triple for Cron. All 3 runs the Rangers have put on the board have been credited as RBI to C.J. Cron. Yeah, Garrett Richards back to the hill. Gave up a run in the 6th inning without the benefit of a hit for the Rangers. A couple of walks, a hit batter, a sacrifice fly. So it's a 2-run Angel advantage as Joey Gallo starts things off here in the 7th inning. It'll be Gallo, Bobby Wilson, and then back to the top of the order for Delino DeShields. First pitch is high for ball 1 to Gallo. That might be the first fastball that Gallo's seen tonight. Everything else has been curveballs. Gallo has flied out to shallow center and been called out on strikes. Fastball up.
I think the first pitch he saw was a high fastball out of the strike zone. And then it was curveball after curveball.
Richards, next pitch.
Well, Richards all over the place.
Yep.
Somehow he put it together and ended up getting the ball for a strike to Odor that he hit to left field, turned into a double play.
Richards with a 2-1. Tried to get that breaking ball in there and couldn't. It was high.
Here's a guy with a 97-mile-an-hour cutting fastball, 2-1, leading off an inning with a 2-run lead, and he's throwing a breaking ball. Not even close.
Ball 4, and Gallo draws the leadoff walk.
If you're Mike Scioscia, you got to be thinking one of 2 things. I either don't like my bullpen, or this is just a temporary little lapse in control right here. I don't know which.
Mike Scioscia saying, okay, what's the pinch hitter? It's going to be Josh Hamilton. Pinch hitting for Bobby Wilson. The folks welcoming Josh once again, as they did the first time that Josh came with the Rangers back in July. And that's going to bring Mike Scioscia out of the Angels dugout, and that is going to do it for Garrett Richards. So when Hamilton was announced as the pinch hitter, that was all Mike Scioscia had to hear. Garrett Richards is gone. Garrett Richards goes 6 innings plus 1 hitter here in the 7th inning. He leads with a 3-1 lead. He'll turn it over to Trevor Gott. We'll tell you all about him when we come back. 3-1 Angels. We're back right after this. And photo selection. T-Mobile giving you the opportunity to get your photo on one of our broadcasts. And Tom sent us this one. Tom, thank you very much. For you folks who would like to send yours in, use hashtag Southwest Data StrongFan. Your photo might be selected to be aired during one of our upcoming broadcasts, the way Tom was tonight. All this made possible by the good folks at T-Mobile. Now, hard-throwing right-hander Trevor Gott on now. Just the 23-year-old his 35th appearance of the year. Gott has really been solid out of the Angel bullpen. One of the guys that has been very consistent for Mike Scioscia this year, and that's not to be said for a lot of the bullpen pieces this year. But Gott has been one of the more consistent ones. He will face Josh Hamilton with one on and nobody out here in the 7th inning. So Hamilton coming up as a pinch hitter. Had a pinch hit single in Wednesday night's game, hitting at .259. 6 home runs, 21 RBI for Josh. He represents the tying run in this ball game. And ball one is outside.
Richards threw 91 pitches and only had 4 swings and misses. Well, that's probably his, I don't even know how to say it, but his stuff was probably less than it has been against the Rangers in any game in the last 6 or 7 times we've seen him. Well, he still only had 1 run.
He certainly pitched like it was less.
Yeah, he did. He did.
The radar gun would tell you 97, but he couldn't have felt.
No, he must not have felt like it was 89 the way he was throwing.
Exactly.
Because he didn't throw as many fastballs as he normally would.
1-1 to Hamilton. Slowly hit out toward Featherston at second. He'll take the out at first. On to second goes Gallo. He's there with 1 out as Hamilton grounds out. Down to the top of the order once again for Delino DeShields. DeShields a double in 3 trips. A double came leading off the ball game tonight. Delino got over to third with 1 out. Rangers could not get him in. And that was just the first of many attempts tonight for the Rangers and not able to produce. Only run scoring on a sacrifice fly back in the 6th inning. Here's Delino with Gallo out there at second. Rangers 0 for 1 with runners in scoring position in the first, 0 for 1 in the second, 0 for 1 in the third. Left center field. Mike Trout over there camping underneath and makes the catch. Joey Gallo bluffed the move toward third and put the brakes on. That is out number 2. And Luke Jackson loosening in the Ranger bullpen. Looks like you might see Luke with his major league debut tonight. Martin Perez. The Rangers have been fairly conservative with Martin and his pitch counts. They haven't pushed him too far past the 90 pitch level since coming back from Tommy John. Shin-Soo Choo takes outside for ball 1. Perez did get up to 102 pitches in his outing against Seattle. Other than that, it's been 90 or below most of the time. Choo drives one to left center field. Going back is Victorino at the track, at the wall. He can't get it. It's off him and off the wall. Gallo scores. Choo headed for third. He is in standing with a run-scoring triple, and that makes it a 3-2 lead. And Victorino is down on the ground.
Yeah, it's fortunate for the Angels that Trout came all the way over. There's no way Victorino was going to be able to get up and retrieve that ball. Also fortunate that the ball stayed in the ballpark another couple of feet. And that ball goes over the 390 sign for a home run.
Well, Victorino up now, and Choo with his 3rd triple of the year, driving in his 61st run. Shane Victorino went full out. He had no chance to slow down at all.
He didn't. There's padding on the wall, but when you're going full speed, ball goes off his glove, it looked like, right off the heel of his glove. And boy, that's just smacking as straight into that wall as you can.
Yep.
The wall didn't budge. It was face first, it looked like.
Well, Mike Scioscia and the Angels training staff out there to take a look at Victorino. Go through the concussion protocol and
Almost made a spectacular catch.
Ooh, a severe face plant into that padding, and that, yeah, there's padding out there, and that cushions the ball a little. There's also posts behind, metal posts holding that wall up behind that padding. And if you happen to hit one of those, I don't care how much padding there is, you're gonna get your bell rung. Victorino being helped toward the dugout by Mike Scioscia and the trainer, and apparently he's going to stay in the ball game.
Chu's had a good game. He's had the line shot double. One of the outs he made was hit in left center field that Victorino made a spectacular catch on. Almost robbed him twice. Almost 3 extra base hits for Chu tonight. We need one more hit right here, and they've climbed right back in it.
Yep. It's a 3-2 ball game now, and Prince Fielder up there facing Trevor Gott. That run, by the way, scored by Gallo, and that goes on the ledger of Garrett Richards and closes out Richards' line tonight. And after this intentional walk, it's going to be Trevor Gott facing Adrian Beltre with maybe a little bit of...
I'm predicting this doesn't go well for the Angels.
Okay. A little bit of incentive to turn the tables on Mike Scioscia's decision. Scioscia going with the percentage moves. Certainly when you got Fielder and Beltre hitting back-to-back, the left-hander as opposed to the right-hander.
Maybe call.
And our AT&T U-Burst rewind. How about the Rangers' first run? Foul fly ball that turned into a sacrifice fly. And the out recorded at second, just after Prince Fielder touched home plate. How close was it? It was this close.
Close enough that it took him 3.5 minutes to check it on the challenge.
No, runners now at first and third. A run across for the Rangers here in the 7th inning. Adrian Beltre, 0 for 3. And he hits a chopper down to Freeze, who will go the short way for the force, and that'll do it. Rangers mount another charge. They get a run, but they strand a couple. We'll go to the bottom of the 7th inning. It's now the Angels 3 and the Rangers 2. Schedule weekend here in Anaheim tomorrow night and then Sunday afternoon. Rangers then head up north to take on the Mariners on Labor Day afternoon, and Tuesday and Wednesday nights and Thursday afternoon before coming back home to start a 10-game homestand. Oakland, Houston, and Seattle. Bottom of the 7th inning, and Luke Jackson, 6'2" right-hander out of southwest Fort Lauderdale, Florida. 24-year-old Luke making his major league debut this year at AAA Round Rock. 2-3, 66 innings for Jackson. League hit .245 against it. And the first pitch of his big league career goes to Taylor Featherston, who fouls it back for strike one. And working to Chris Jimenez now, who came off the Ranger bench to take over for Bobby Wilson. Wilson pinch hit for by Josh Hamilton in the top of the 7th inning. Breaking ball from Jackson outside. Jimenez and Jackson, of course, worked together extensively down at AAA Round Rock. Probably has a pretty good feel for what Chris Jimenez would ask of him. Out of play, 1 ball and 2 strikes. Luke, a first-round pick by the Rangers back in the 2010 draft. He was the 45th overall selection in 2010. The 1-2 to Featherston. Luke popping that fastball up there, 98 miles an hour. I think he's a little bit hopped up.
I think he is. I'm only going to mention this for the people that take great pride in their scorecards. The play in the 6th went 7-6-4, I think, according to the PA's press box announcement.
Okay.
That was Ibar that made the throw back to second.
Popped up, and this one will go over the Ranger dugout back into the 5th row.
Kevin Brown. Remember Kevin Brown
Yeah,
going after pop-ups? Yep. Kevin Brown would have dove into the stands if he had a chance to get it. Kenny Rogers, too, for that matter. Looks like Luke's the same way.
He was going to make sure somebody was in the vicinity.
Hey, that's my out there. If I have to catch it, I will.
Still 2-2 to Featherston.
Kevin Brown would run down a catcher or a first baseman trying to catch one. Probably felt he had a better chance to catch it.
Check swing on the pitch that was high, and he peeled down to first. No swing. Well, the count is full now to Featherston. Featherston hitting in the 9th spot. Cole Calhoun in the top of the order will be next. Luke Jackson ready. The payoff pitch on the way. Rougned Odor a few steps out into the shallow part of right field. Makes the catch. That is out number 1 before Cole Calhoun comes up. Let's send it back to Dana Larson for a Mazda game break. All right, Dana, thank you. Here, the Rangers have made it a 1-run game. It's 3-2. And Luke Jackson, in his major league debut, gets the first out that he has ever recorded. Taylor Featherston pops out. Now he'll deal with Cole Calhoun. First pitch is inside for ball 1. Calhoun 0 for 3 tonight. He has struck out twice, reached on a fielder's choice, and came around to score back in the 3rd inning. A straight changeup from Luke. 2 balls, no strikes. Jackson last year spent half the year at Frisco and half of it at Round Rock. Ended up going 9-5 combined in the 2 stops. Two and 1 to Calhoun.
Just one more bullpen guy coming up to the big leagues, throwing 95 to 98.
Oh, you aren't kidding. Luke studying the signs from Chris Jimenez. Calhoun waiting. The 2-1 pitch will be next. Odor to the backhand. A jump throw is wide, and Calhoun is going to reach. Now, part of the ownership playing the second baseman way out in right field. If he has to go any distance at all, left or right, he's going to have a tough play. A guy that can run like Calhoun.
Yeah, once especially if he has to go to his right, it's going to be a tough throw from 15 feet out in right field, going to his right to get it back. He did the only thing he could do, just get rid of it quickly and hope he could get it accurately to first base on a couple of bounces or in the air if he's lucky. Tough call, tough throw to make though from out there.
Yeah, it's a base hit for Calhoun, his first of the night, and the 6th of the evening for the Angels. And now Mike Trout will face Luke Jackson. Luke introducing himself to Mr. Trout. Ball 1. Trout 1 for 3 tonight. 3rd inning single. He also scored a run. And that's low and outside. 2 balls and no strikes. Rangers got a pretty good look at Luke Jackson this spring. He was in Major League camp for the first time. Worked a couple of ball games, 3 1/3 innings of work during the spring. Jackson, the minor league pitcher of the year, Nolan Ryan Award winner back in 2013. Right-hander sets. Calhoun a modest lead at first. 2-0 pitch, and Trout swinging through a pretty good fastball.
That one was down too.
Yep.
Trout's cut down on his strikeouts this year. Still struck out 128 times, but it was 50 or 60 more than that last year. The other thing he's not doing as well this year is stealing bases. He's only 10 out of 17. Last year he was down only 16, but it was 16 out of 18. His high was 3 years ago, 49 out of 54.
Yeah, there was some sentiment around the Angels camp that a guy that his size was going to wear himself out if he tried to steal that many bases.
Well,
and that may be that's a valid point, I think.
Yeah, I think maybe you pick your spots with it
Yeah.
a little bit. And don't go all out to steal bases when you're that kind of an offensive player, maybe.
2-1. Jimenez got Luke Jackson to maybe try that breaking ball. I think Chris Jimenez might have been scared off by Trout's swing at that low fastball. That's probably not where we want to throw that thing. It's not much of a secret that Trout is much better on the low fastball than he is on most other pitches in other locations. 3-1 as Jackson sets. And it's inside, ball 4. Well, base hit, now a walk, 2 aboard with 1 out. Albert Pujols now will face Luke. And Mike Maddox going to go out and add a little bit to Luke's education. Sam Freeman, Ranger left-hander, getting ready. Look down the order. Eric Ibar would, being a switch hitter, would be one guy you might want the left-hander ready for. Mike doing the talking and Luke Jackson doing the nodding. Yep, I understand that. Odor is going to add his thing. Look, get us a ground ball. We'll turn double play and we'll go back and talk it over in the dugout. So, conference concluded. 2 on, 1 out for Pujols. Albert tonight 0 for 1 officially. He's had a couple of walks. Scored the third Angel run against the Rangers in the 5th inning after he walked with 2 outs. C.J. Cron tripled him home. Got Calhoun at second, Trout at first. So very good speed on the base paths for the Angels. And a strike at the knees. Pujols had his team-leading 35th home run on Wednesday. It was the last game the Angels played. Hits that one out of play. Very quickly, Luke Jackson up in the count. No balls, 2 strikes. For Pujols, that home run also in the 555th of his career. And that tied him with Manny Ramirez for 14th on the all-time list. Oh, 2 pitch. Twisting down the right side. Long run for Chu. He goes into a slide and comes up short. Shinsu knew he was running out of territory real fast.
Yeah, he had a long way to go. Of course, he's playing pretty deep for Pujols. A little bit more toward right center field. You just can't go all out without sliding like that. Otherwise, you're just going to hit the wall too hard. No way you can stop. Try to slide and hope you get there in time.
So Chu back to his position, straight away right field. Luke Jackson with a new baseball, set to go to work for another 0-2 pitch to Pujols. Calhoun getting his lead from second. Mike Trout away from first. Chu coming on, makes the catch. Everybody stays put. That is out number 2.
Good pitches right there by Luke. All of them fastballs. All of them pumped in there 96 to 98 miles an hour. The last one 97. Got in on Pujols, just a little lazy jam shot to right field. So went right after him with his best fastball and got the out.
Well, our TXU Energy power player is C.J. Cron. He has provided all 3 runs tonight. A 2-run single in the 3rd inning. And then a run-scoring triple in the 5th. Both of them coming with 2 outs. Our TXU Energy power player, C.J. Cron. And he is the hitter as he hits with 2 outs here in the 7th. Cron, 3 more RBI tonight, 35 for the year. And Luke Jackson drops in a big curveball for strike 1. And C.J. Cron backed out as if to say, where in the world did that come from?
Well, if he was watching Pujols at bat, he saw all mid to upper 90s fastballs. Yeah. Had to be thinking he was going to get one too.
Cron with the 2 hits now, gotten his average up to 275. Jackson a check of second. Was power against power, 98 on the heat, and Cron swinging about 98 going the other way. But Jackson with the advantage in the count. No balls and 2 strikes. Getting in his first big league strikeout. Almost. Little bit wide. 1 ball, 2 strikes. Jackson had been a starter, converted this year to the bullpen, and has taken to it, by all accounts, like a duck to water.
Yeah, Rangers had a couple of guys up from AAA that were in that same boat. Andy Faulkner the same way, left-handed reliever. His fastball is mid-90s. Had a lot of success when they transitioned him into the bullpen. It might have been in the back of the minds of the development people. They wanted him to get some innings in, get some starts in, build up some arm strength, and then they decided to go to the bullpen route, and both of them took to it very well.
Yeah, Luke Jackson, I guess, one in many a line of guys that throw in the low to mid 90s as a starter, and all of a sudden they come in for one inning stints, and he had about 4 or 5 miles an hour to that fastball. Still 1-2 to Crone. Right center field, that is up the alley. It is trouble again. One hop and off the wall. Calhoun scores. Trout around will score, and C.J. Crone another 2-out run-scoring hit. It is 5-2 Angels. 2 more RBI for Crone. He has all 5 tonight.
He came into the game hitting .435 with 12 RBIs in 11 games. I don't know what it is now, 470, 475 with 17 RBIs in 12 games.
Yeah, Jeff Bannister out to the mound, and that is going to do it for Luke Jackson in his big league debut. Not the way that he would want it to go, and not the way the Rangers would have liked for it to gone for him. 2 runs across, 2 outs, Crone at second base, and Sam Freeman will be coming in from the Ranger bullpen. We'll take a timeout, tell you all about Sam when we come back after this. Football season kicks off tomorrow. At 11 a.m., South Dakota State visits the Jayhawks of Kansas. Then at 2:30, Sam Houston State takes on Texas Tech. And we wrap up the action at 6:30, Georgia Southern and West Virginia on Fox Sports Southwest Plus. It's a full day of football on Fox Sports Southwest and Fox Sports Southwest Plus. Well, Sam Freeman on now to work to Eric Ibar. Freeman in his 48th appearance of the year. Sam with that ERA under 3 now, and opponents hitting just .220 against him. Sam inherits C.J. Crone at second base. Eric Ibar 0 for 3 tonight. Nice stop by Chris Jimenez, that breaking ball in the dirt. Note here that C.J. Crone, not only a 2-out run-scoring hit again, Also behind in the count again. That was a 1-2 pitch that he lined off the wall in right center field against Luke Jackson. Rangers had opportunities to put Cron away in all 3 at-bats that turned into runs. Couldn't get it done. Ibar takes a breaking ball. Sam Freeman now evens the count at 1-1. Ibar, a pop out and 2 grounders tonight. Elvis gobbles that up, throws out his counterpart, and that will do it. So Freeman closes the door on the 7th, but the horses were out of the barn. 2 runs across for the Angels on 2 hits. They leave 1 after 7, 5-2 Los Angeles. Commemorate Adrian Beltre's 400th home run. First 15,000 fans 14 and older receive the Beltre shirt, sponsored by Snapple and 7-Eleven. Get your tickets at TexasRangers.com to see the Rangers take on the A's and hopefully get one of Adrian's t-shirts. Angels leading 5-2 now as they put a couple on the board in the bottom of the 7th inning. Adrian Beltre and company now will battle here in the 8th inning against the new pitcher, Joe Smith.
Smith's been a solid sidearm setup man for a long time. Actually, he's had some opportunities to save games as well.
Smith's
ERA's up a little higher than normal, though.
Yep.
374.
60th ball game of the year, and league hitting for Joe Smith a little bit high at 261. He normally is down to the 220s or so. And Caleb Cowart is now to play defensively, taking over for David Freese at third for the Angels. Mitch Moreland going after that pitch from Smith, high in the air, twisting down the left field line. And into foul territory goes Victorino to make the catch for out number 1.
It's almost the same pop-up down the line that Odor hit. Off the bat, you're hoping it goes into the stands. There's not much foul territory down there. But both of them seem to almost come back toward the foul line at the end.
Well, that foul out makes Mitch 1 for 3 now, and it'll bring up Elvis Andrus, who's 1 for 2. Elvis drew a walk back in the 6th inning. His single was in the 4th. He also flied to left field. Smith missing inside of that side-wheeling fastball, tailing off the plate. Elvis at 263 with the average. Kind of a frisbee slider that stayed just above the strike zone. 2-0. For Smith, that's either the fastball or the slider. And not much else in that repertoire, but coming from that angle for one at bat, not much of a chance to adjust to him. A little different release point. Tough for a hitter, Tom, in one at bat to adjust to where he's throwing the ball from.
Yeah, especially he's got pretty good command of his pitches. He also, from down there, throws a little harder than most guys do. Most guys are mid 80s, sometimes upper 80s. He gets his fastball 88, 91ish, right around in there. And he's just got good. He's got good command of it too. As he walks, Elvis.
Well, Elvis draws his second walk tonight. Smith, a rare walk for Smith. You're right. He does not walk a whole lot of folks. Yeah, they had just 16 walks prior to that one in 55 innings of work. So that's by no means an alarming rate.
Look at last year with the Angels, his ERA was 181. He walked 15 batters in 74 innings. So he's been pretty good for a long time. His major league ERA is 2.78.
Mainstay of the Cleveland Indian bullpen for a number of years.
Yeah.
Just about all the roles out there too with the Indians. Rougned Odor is 0 for 1 officially, and he pops this one right up the chute. Pujols just in fair territory, makes the catch. That is out number 2. Rougned now 0 for 2. Had that sacrifice fly that Tom told you about. Driving in his 44th run, but he has a pop out here. Now Joey Gallo will come up. Elvis and Hector Ortiz having a little discussion with Albert Pujols down there at first. Gallo drew a walk and scored in the 7th inning. Also popped to shallow center and been called out on strikes. 1-0. Smith back to the plate. There's that location that we were talking about with Ian Kennedy exploiting that the other night to Joey Gallo. But if a pitcher can get the ball there, there's not much that Joey can do about it right now. Up a little bit higher. And by doing much about it, I mean, he can't lay off it because it's a strike. And right now he doesn't have the ability to get on top of that ball. It's one thing that he was trying to work at AAA, was kind of shortening his path to the ball. Breaking ball, call strike 3. Got that curveball at the bottom of the zone. Rangers get a walk, but Strand Andrews. After 7.5, it remains Angels 5, Rangers 2.
here in the 8th inning as we welcome you back to Anaheim, California. We're at the Big A where the Rangers are taking on the Angels in game 1 of 3 in this weekend series in Southern California. Game 2 is tomorrow, and it'll be Derek Holland on the mound as he tries to come back from that great start he had last time, a complete game shutout with 11 strikeouts against Jared Weaver. Really good pitching matchup. AT&T U-verse reminds you, this one's an hour earlier tomorrow. Rangers live at 7:30. First pitch around 8:05 from the Big A in Anaheim. That's all tomorrow night, guys. Back up to you.
All right, John, thank you. Looking forward to Derek getting back out there, and Rangers need a strong start from him here tomorrow night. Caleb Cowart, who entered the ball game defensively last half inning for David Freese, taking his spot in the batting order, the number 6 slot. And he is starting things off against Sam Freeman. Cowart hitting at 200. One of the September call-ups for the Angels. I take it back. He was up before the September call-ups. Got his first big league hit back in August 22nd. And Sam Freeman gets him looking at the 3rd strike. That right on the outside corner. Well, 1 gone. Shane Victorino coming up. Well, folks, the most popular way to follow the Rangers' push to the postseason is with MLB.com at bat. It's the #1 app for live baseball. Enjoy live look-ins, highlights, replay reviews, scores, StatCast, live radio broadcasts, and a lot more at MLB.com at bat right now. Well, Freeman with his first strikeout, 1 away. Shane Victorino 0 for 2 with a walk. Pops up the first pitch. Jimenez over to take a look, but he runs out of room. That's back in the 2nd row. Ranger fans, Ranger gear scattered throughout Angel Stadium here tonight. Victorino, along with his walk, has twice grounded out. One and one to it. Season average at .231 for Victorino. That's overall. Up the middle, near the bag at second. Odor will throw out Victorino, out number 2. Sam is swapping behind his back so he can come up with little circus catches. Whoop. Somebody greased up the front of the mound. Figured right up from under him. Kevin Harmon and Jeff Anderson going out to make sure that Sam Freeman didn't do any more than just awkwardly sit down.
Now, Jeff wants to know, son, what were you trying to do on that one? I can't wait to get back in the bullpen.
Yeah. And being a former catcher, he would ask a pitcher something like that, too. They love to embarrass pitchers.
Well, you like the effort, that's for sure.
Yep.
Fortunately, he didn't touch the ball because it was going right straight to root net anyway.
Yeah, but Sam convincing him he's fine. Ego might be a little bruised, but and he might get ready to pay a fine in Kangaroo Court. I think there's a fine in the works there. 2 outs. Carlos Perez takes Lone outside for ball 1. Perez 0 for 2 with a walk. Angels 5 runs on 7 hits this evening. 2-0. They've also had 5 walks to work with.
Look at Sam's line this year. Opponents have hit .220 against him, which is solid. Strikeout per inning. Only a couple of home runs in 33 innings. The one area for improvement would be walks. He's walked 22 in 33 innings. And when you watch him, he doesn't look like a guy that's wild. He just has had times where he hasn't thrown enough strikes. But overall, it's been a very good year for him. Good learning experience, developing into a good, solid setup man for the Rangers.
Two-out walk that it seems like most of them, Tom, have come like that out of nowhere. All of a sudden, he's just gone for a hitter or two.
Yeah, you know, that's one where with 2 outs and nobody on, you want to finish the inning quickly. You've got a 220 hitting catcher up there. Not a real power. He's hit a couple of home runs this year, but he's not a real power threat. That's when you just go right after him and make it a 1-2-3 inning.
No, 1 on, 2 out. Taylor Featherston, who is 1 out of 3 tonight, takes that first pitch in for strike 1. Featherston had a base hit back in the 3rd inning. Rounded into a double play in the 4th, then popped out in the 7th. Struggling offensively this year, just 136. And that's fouled away. 0-2. Since Johnny Giovatello, we were talking about, went out of the lineup, down with the illness. Angels second basemen have combined to hit 114. So whether it's Featherston or Grant Green or whomever they were running out there, it's just been a struggle offensively. And there is a swinging strike 3 as Sam Freeman just overpowers Featherston. No runs, no hits. The walker left stranded. We're going to the 9th in Anaheim. 5-2, the Angels on top. The 9th inning, Rangers will have Chris Jimenez, their 9th place hitter, the scheduled hitter, but we look down in the on-deck circle. Looks like Will Venable has grabbed a bat to come on and hit for Jimenez. And Houston Street, the closer for the Angels, on now. 31 saves for the veteran right-hander. He's 32 years of age from Austin, Texas. Of course, the Longhorn great. And Street got his 31st save of the season, August 27th against Detroit. He is 3rd in the American League with those 31 saves. He has been good for a long time. 305 career saves in his great career. 214, the league hitting against him. And he will face Will Venable to start off the 9th inning for the Rangers. 1 ball and no strikes. Venable and Street, teammates down in San Diego. Well, a 240 average. 1 ball, 1 strike is Venable taking all the way. Houston Street, when he got his 300th career save back in July 22nd, became the 27th player all time to record that many saves. He's now 23rd on the all-time list. Gossage next with 310. Venable shoots it foul to the left, and the count evens at 2 balls and 2 strikes. Of course, Will Venable, in his time with the Padres, knows all about pinch hitting. He was a very valuable pinch hitter for San Diego. Off speed, and it runs the count full. Venable trying to get aboard to start the Ranger 9th inning, the top of the order, and Delino Shields in the on-deck circle. Payoff pitch. Low ball 4. Venable draws the pinch hit walk to start the 9th inning. And before Delino steps in, let's head back to the studio. Dana Larson has a preview of Ranger Live. All right, Dana, thanks very much. The Rangers get their leadoff man aboard. Now here's Delino to Shields, who is 1 for 4 tonight. And he takes a strike on the inner part of the plate. Delino doubled back in the first. Since then has popped out, flied out, and grounded into a double play. Nothing in 2. Street still a great changeup. An average fastball, but great command of it. And he can make that thing move a couple of different ways. Pretty good breaking ball. And the moxie that goes along with being one of the all-time closers. One ball, 2 strikes. Delino a .262 average. Street set. Up the middle, picked off by Street, and he doubles off Venable. My goodness.
4th double play. A couple traditional ones. One fly ball to left. Double the guy back off second base. And this one, line drive back to the pitcher. I don't know if that was hit hard enough to get into center field, but it's hit in the right direction to try.
I guess if you're a runner, there's not much you can do there, huh? See the ball hit?
Yeah, once you take that one step, it's pretty much over.
Well, base is empty. Here is Shin-Soo Choo, and Choo fouls it out of play to the left.
Right off the end of the bat, so
yeah.
It wasn't an extremely hard hit ball, which is probably fortunate for Street where that ball was headed. He put his glove down to block it and ended up being able to catch it.
0-1 pitch. Nothing in 2. Choo tonight, 2 for 4. Couple of extra base hits, a double and a triple. Drove in his 61st run with a 3-bagger back in the 7th. Right here at Angel Stadium, what's left of it on their feet. And another foul ball. Choo settling back in. Street into the wind. Another 0-2 pitch. to make him throw about another 15 or 16 pitches. You might not have to see him for the next day or two. One and two. Houston Street, Oakland, Colorado, San Diego, Los Angeles. Coming with the 1-2 to Chu. Count evens. In case you hadn't heard, Houston shut out Minnesota tonight. The Rangers in danger now of dropping to 3 games behind the Astros. They will still maintain their lead against the Twins as Chu bangs a base hit to center field. His 3rd hit of the night. And the Rangers still have life here in the 9th inning.
Chu's hit the ball hard his last 4 times up. I mentioned the 1 out that he made in those 4 at bats was a line drive. Looked like it was headed into the gap in left center field, but Victorino ran it down, made a nice play on it. He is continuing to swing the bat. Has his batting average up over 250 now. Having good at bats, one right after the other.
Here's Prince Fielder, who does not have a hit tonight, but he has 3 walks. Chu will go into second. Defensive indifference. A Fielder, 1 intentional walk and 2 unintentional walks. 0 for 1 with a ground ball to first. Ranger team leader with 73 RBI. Looking for more with Chu at second base. Popped up. Cowart into foul ground and makes the catch, and that will do it. Houston Street with his 32nd save of the year. The Angels fire the first shot across the bow in this series as they defeat the Rangers tonight by a score of 5-2. Both teams with 7 hits tonight, but C.J. Cron, the story tonight is he had all 5 RBI for the Angels on 3 2-out hits. A single, double, and triple produced all 5 runs for the Angels tonight. C.J. Cron accounted for all that damage. We will come back to Anaheim, to Angel Stadium, with more right after this on Fox Sports Southwest.